Vitamin A. It sounds harmless. In fact, it sounds helpful. It's sold as essential for good vision, glowing skin, and a strong immune system. And for years, maybe even decades, you've taken it in your multivitamin, and without thinking twice. But what if I told you that once you hit 60, the very same vitamin A that used to be helpful can actually become a threat to your health? Let's unpack this. There are two main types of vitamin A. Performed vitamin, like retinol and retinol palmitate, found in animal products and most supplements, and provitam in carotenoids like beta-carotene, found in colorful fruits and vegetables. Here's the catch: performed vitamin A is fat, soluble. That means your body stores it in the liver. Unlike water, soluble vitamins like B or C, which are excreted when you take too much, vitamin A builds up. That buildup becomes a real problem as you age. After 60, your liver becomes less efficient. It doesn't process and detoxify at the same pace it used to. So when you keep taking high doses of performed vitamin, especially in supplement form, your body stores the excess. And over time, that storage can become toxic. We're not talking about vague discomfort here. We're talking about real, measurable damage. One of the biggest concerns is bone health. You probably already know that aging increases your risk of osteoporosis, particularly for women after menopause. But studies have shown that excessive intake of performed vitamin A can actually accelerate bone loss. It interferes with the activity of osteoblasts, the cells that build bone, and boosts the activity of osteoclasts, the cells that break bone down. The result: your bones become more fragile, and your risk of fractures, especially in the hip, goes way up. And here's what most people don't realize: you might already be getting enough vitamin A, more than enough, from your diet. Foods like liver, eggs, dairy, and even fortified cereals are rich in it. Then, when you add a multivitamin, and on top of that, especially one that provides 100% or more of your daily recommended intake, you've just created the perfect storm for toxicity. The symptoms of chronic vitamin in a toxicity aren't always obvious: fatigue, headaches, dizziness, blurred vision, dry, peeling skin. You could easily mistake those signs for normal aging, but they're not. They're your body sounding the alarm, and most people aren't hearing it. Now, let's talk numbers. The recommended daily allowance RDA for vitamin A for adults over 50 is around 700 micrograms mcg for women and 900 mcg for men. But many supplements, especially those labeled for anti-aging or eye health, contain over 500 mcg or more. That's nearly double what's recommended, and it adds up quickly when combined with a regular diet. But wait, what about beta-carotene? That's the plant-based form your body converts to vitamin A only when it needs it. Right. That sounds safer, doesn't it? Yes and no. While beta-carotene doesn't carry the same immediate toxicity risk, it's not risk-free either. In large doses, particularly from supplements rather than food, it has been associated with an increased risk of lung cancer in smokers and former smokers. It's another example of how more is not better. Nature intended for us to get these nutrients from food, not capsules loaded with megadoses. Now, here's where the frustration sets in. Companies still market high-dose vitamin A as essential for aging adults. They lean on outdated science and prey on the fear of aging. They sell hope in a bottle, and the label's confusing. Sometimes they list vitamin A in international units IU, sometimes in micrograms Ray, and rarely do they explain the source, whether it's retinol or beta-carotene. The average person doesn't stand a chance at decoding this without help. So here's what you do. First, check your multivitamin. Look for the form of vitamin A. If it says retinol palmitate, retinol, or vitamin A acetate, and it's delivering more than 100% of your daily need, it's time to stop and reassess. Don't just assume it's safe because it's on a store shelf. Supplements aren't regulated like medications. You have to be your own health advocate. Second, talk to your doctor. Get a blood test if you're concerned about your levels. You may find out that you're already in the upper range, or even beyond it, and didn't know. If you eat a balanced diet with fruits, vegetables, dairy, or animal protein, you likely don't need a supplement at all. Finally, focus on food. Want healthy skin? Eat carrots, sweet potatoes, spinach. Want to protect your eyes? Get those leafy greens rich in lutein and zeaxanthin, nutrients that actually help your vision without the risk. You're not the same person you were at 30. Your body's changed. Your habits need to change too. It's time to stop swallowing things just because the label said healthy. It's time to read, question, think, take control, because your future health depends not on what you add, but on what you stop doing that no longer serves you. Vitamin A might be on that list. Don't wait until it becomes a problem. Make the change now. Vitamin E used to be the darling of the supplement world. For decades, it was hailed as a miracle nutrient, something that could fight aging, protect your heart, boost your immune system, and keep you vibrant well into your golden years. It sounded too good to be true, and as it turns out, it was. The reality about vitamin E is very different from the hype, especially when it comes in supplement form. For people over 60, high-dose vitamin E may not only be unnecessary, it could actually be dangerous. Let's start with the basics. Vitamin E is an antioxidant. That means it helps neutralize free radicals, those unstable molecules in your body that can damage cells, contribute to inflammation, and accelerate aging. Sounds like something you'd want more of, right? That's what supplement manufacturers have been banking on. And so, for years, people were encouraged to take large doses of vitamin E to protect themselves, especially from heart disease. But then real science caught up. When researchers started putting those claims to the test with large-scale clinical trials, the results were surprising, and not in a good way. One of the most significant studies, the Heart Outcomes Prevention Evaluation HOPE trial, looked at thousands of patients who were at risk for cardiovascular disease. These people took 400 IU of vitamin E daily, a dose that's still found in many over-the-counter supplements. After years of follow-up, researchers found no reduction in heart attacks, strokes, or deaths. In fact, in some cases, the risk of certain types of strokes actually went up. Specifically, high-dose vitamin E supplementation has been linked to an increased risk of hemorrhagic stroke, the kind caused by bleeding in the brain. It's less common than the more familiar ischemic stroke, which is caused by a clot, but it's often more severe and more deadly. That risk alone should give you pause, especially if you're over 60 and already dealing with other risk factors like high blood pressure or blood-thinning medications. And here's the tricky part. You don't need much vitamin E to begin with. The recommended daily intake for adults is just 15 milligrams 22, 4 IU, an amount easily met through a healthy diet that includes nuts, seeds, leafy greens, and vegetable oils, but many supplements offer 200, 400, even 1,000 IU or more per serving. That's 10 to 50 times what your body actually needs. And when you go beyond what your body can use, you're not just wasting your money, you're increasing your risk. You might be wondering, why would something that comes from nature be harmful? Well, here's what no one tells you. Isolated nutrients in supplement form behave very differently in your body than they do when you get them from food. When you eat a handful of almonds or a spoonful of sunflower seeds, you're not just getting vitamin E, you're getting a whole package of fiber, protein, healthy fats, and plant compounds that all work together. That synergy is something a pill simply can't replicate. Supplements deliver vitamin E in concentrated, isolated doses, usually in the form of alpha-tocopherol, one of 8 forms of vitamin E. That's important because when you flood your system with just alpha-tocopherol, it can actually reduce the levels of other beneficial forms like gamma-tocopherol. Translation, you may be throwing your whole antioxidant system out of balance. And here's another thing, vitamin E interacts with medications, especially blood thinners like aspirin, warfarin, and clopidogrel. If you're taking those drugs, and many people over 60 are, adding vitamin E on top of that increases your risk of bleeding. That includes not just hemorrhagic stroke, but internal bleeding that could go unnoticed until it's serious. So let's take a step back and ask, Why are you taking vitamin E in the first place? If you're hoping it will protect your heart, the data doesn't support it. If you're taking it for your skin, guess what? Vitamin E applied topically can help, but swallowing high doses won't make your skin glow. And if you're just taking it because you've always taken it, or because the label said it was essential for aging, it's time to challenge that assumption. The truth is, vitamin E deficiency is extremely rare in healthy adults. It's not something you need to be afraid of, and if you're eating a diet with even a moderate amount of variety, think spinach, avocados, almonds, sunflower seeds, you're already covered. What you do need to be afraid of is the long-term impact of taking something your body doesn't need. You wouldn't keep pouring oil into a car that's already full, right? Eventually, it overflows and causes damage. Your body works the same way. It's smart, it's efficient, it knows how to balance itself if you let it. So if you're over 60 and you're still taking a high-dose vitamin E supplement every day, it's time to stop and reassess. Talk to your doctor, look at the label, look at your diet. You may find that you don't need the supplement at all, and you might be better off without it. Your health is too important to be left to outdated advice and marketing myths. You deserve real answers grounded in real science, and the science is clear. For most people over 60, high-dose vitamin E supplements are not only unnecessary, they could be putting your health at risk. Make the change now. Your future self will thank you. Iron is one of those nutrients people assume is always a good thing. It's associated with strength, energy, stamina, the stuff you absolutely want more of as you get older. So, it's no surprise that a lot of multivitamins and supplements aimed at seniors still include iron. But here's what no one tells you. For most people over 60, especially if you haven't been specifically told by a doctor that you need it, taking iron is not only unnecessary, it might actually be harming you. Let's start with why you needed more iron earlier in life, during your younger years, especially if you were menstruating, pregnant, or extremely active. Your body required more iron to keep up with the demands of blood production and oxygen transport. But once you hit 60, especially post-menopause for women and generally for most men, your need for iron drops significantly. Your body isn't losing blood regularly anymore, and it becomes more efficient at recycling the iron it already has. Yet, many supplements are still designed for people who need more iron, not less. So what happens when you keep taking iron your body doesn't need? It builds up. Unlike some nutrients your body can flush out when you get too much, iron sticks around. It's stored in your organs, particularly your liver, heart, and pancreas, and over time that buildup can lead to oxidative stress. That's a fancy term for what happens when your body has too many free radicals and not enough antioxidants to balance them out. Think of it like rusting from the inside, and that rust has been linked to serious issues like heart disease, liver damage, diabetes, and even cognitive decline. One of the most concerning risks tied to excess iron is its role in cardiovascular health. High levels of iron in the body can contribute to the formation of plaque in the arteries, leading to atherosclerosis, the very condition so many older adults are trying to prevent. So the irony is hard to ignore. The iron you thought would help keep you strong and energized could actually be putting strain on your heart and increasing your risk of a heart attack or stroke. There's also something called hemochromatosis, a condition where the body absorbs too much iron from food and supplements. While some people are genetically predisposed to it, many don't even know they have the gene until they experience symptoms like joint pain, fatigue, or abnormal liver function. And since those symptoms can mimic common signs of aging, they're often misdiagnosed or completely missed. Let's be clear, not everyone should avoid iron. If a doctor has tested your blood and diagnosed you with iron deficiency anemia, or if you have a condition that causes blood loss or poor iron absorption, then yes, iron supplements can be essential. But that's a conversation based on lab work, not assumptions. The problem is that most people aren't checking their iron levels before they start taking it. They buy a multivitamin off the shelf, assuming it's good for them. And if that multivitamin includes 18 milligrams of iron, which is the recommended daily intake for a premenopausal woman. They're getting way more than their body needs. Multiply that by weeks, months, or years of daily use, and it's easy to see how iron overload becomes a silent, creeping issue. And it really is silent. Iron overload doesn't shout, it whispers, a little fatigue here, a bit of stomach discomfort there, maybe a vague sense of brain fog. These symptoms don't set off alarms, so most people just chalk them up to getting older. But they could be early signs that your iron stores are too high, and your body is struggling to keep up. So what should you do? First, check your labels. If your multivitamin includes iron, ask yourself why. Are you taking it out of habit? Are you assuming it's helping because it says for energy? That's marketing, not medicine. Second, get a blood test. A simple ferritin level and total iron binding capacity test can give your doctor a clear picture of your iron status. If your levels are normal or high, you don't need that extra iron. If they're low, your doctor will help you determine the cause and the right way to treat it. And here's the great news, you can get plenty of iron from food in a way that's easier for your body to regulate. Red meat, poultry, fish, beans, and leafy greens all contain iron, and when you eat it through food, your body has mechanisms to absorb only what it needs. It's much smarter and more efficient than any supplement. This isn't about fear, it's about facts. It's about choosing to be informed and proactive instead of blindly following routines that may no longer serve you. Taking iron when you don't need it is not harmless. It's a risk. And you have the power to change that today. You've worked too hard, lived too long, and come too far to let an outdated supplement sabotage your health. It's time to stop taking iron just because you always have or because the bottle told you to. Be your own advocate, ask questions, get tested, adjust your choices. Your body at 60 is not the same body you had at 30. That's not a bad thing. It's just a fact. With age comes wisdom, experience, and a new understanding of how your body functions. But here's the part that too many people miss. The supplement routine you started decades ago might not only be outdated, it could be doing more harm than good. Supplements aren't one size fits all, and what your body needed back then may be very different from what it needs now. As you age, your metabolism slows down, your digestion changes, your kidneys and liver, two of the main organs responsible for processing and eliminating excess nutrients, become less efficient. Your hormone levels shift. Even your ability to absorb certain vitamins and minerals from food or supplements isn't what it used to be. That means your body handles supplements differently than it did 20, 30, or 40 years ago, but very few people adjust their supplement habits accordingly. Take calcium, for example. It's one of the most commonly taken supplements among older adults. The logic is simple. Bones get weaker with age, so take calcium to keep them strong. But here's the catch. Calcium absorption requires adequate levels of magnesium, vitamin D, and vitamin K2. Without those in balance, calcium can get deposited in the wrong places, like your arteries instead of your bones. This is called vascular calcification, and it increases your risk for heart disease. So the good intention behind supplementing calcium can backfire if you're not looking at the whole picture. And let's be honest, most multivitamins don't provide that full picture. They give you a dose of this and a dash of that, often based on outdated standards, without considering how your body's needs change with time. Here's another example, B12. As you age, your stomach produces less of a substance called intrinsic factor, which is crucial for absorbing B12 from food. So even if you're eating a balanced diet, you might not be getting enough. That's one case where supplementation might actually become more important as you get older. But how many people even know that? Most are too busy taking the same old multivitamin, and they picked up 15 years ago without ever stopping to ask, is this still right for me? And then there are fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K. These don't leave your system easily. They get stored in your liver and fat tissues. That means if you're taking them in high doses for years without monitoring your levels, they can accumulate and cause toxicity. You may not feel the effects right away, but over time, the buildup can lead to serious health issues like liver strain, kidney stones, or even neurological symptoms. Your body just doesn't process these nutrients the same way it used to, and the consequences of ignoring that can sneak up on you. Another area people overlook is their medication list. Most older adults are on at least one prescription medication, and many are on multiple. These medications can interact with supplements, sometimes in dangerous ways. For example, if you're taking blood pressure meds, adding potassium supplements can throw off your electrolyte balance. If you're on blood thinners like warfarin, high doses of vitamin K can reduce the effectiveness of the medication. Supplements are not as innocent as they're often marketed. They can have powerful effects, especially when layered on top of prescription drugs and age-related changes in metabolism. Now, this doesn't mean you should throw all your supplements in the trash. What it means is that you need to reevaluate. You need to shift your mindset from more is better to targeted and tailored is better. This is the stage of life where less guessing and more precision matters. That's where regular check-ins with your doctor, and ideally a registered dietitian, come into play. A few simple blood tests can tell you what your body actually needs and what it doesn't. Your supplement routine should be as dynamic as your lifestyle. You wouldn't wear the same clothes you wore at 25 or drive the same car forever without maintenance, right? So why would you keep taking the same supplements decade after decade without reassessing their relevance? It's also important to realize that nutrition from food is almost always superior to nutrition from pills. When you get nutrients through real, whole foods, you're getting them in a form your body recognizes and knows how to use. You're also getting fiber, enzymes, and plant compounds that work synergistically with those nutrients. Supplements should fill gaps, not replace meals or become a crutch for a poor diet. This is about empowerment. It's about giving yourself permission to question habits, to stay curious, and to update your approach to wellness. Your body has been through a lot. It deserves respect, and that includes feeding it in a way that reflects your current reality, not your past routines. So take a moment, look at your medicine cabinet, look at the labels, ask yourself if those supplements are helping or if they're just leftovers from an outdated version of you. Then have the conversation with your doctor, your pharmacist, or a trusted healthcare provider. Get the facts, get tested if needed, and be open to change. There's a belief that's become deeply ingrained in our culture. If something is good for you, then more of it must be better. And when it comes to supplements, that belief is everywhere. Walk into any drugstore or open your favorite wellness blog, and you'll be bombarded with pills, powders, and promises. There's a capsule for energy, another for brain function, one for joint pain, one for sleep. And somehow it all feels necessary. Especially as we age, we're made to think that we need to be constantly adding more and more to stay healthy, strong, and independent. But here's the truth. More supplements do not mean better health. In fact, taking too many, especially without understanding what your body actually needs, can lead to the opposite of what you're trying to achieve. It can cause imbalance, toxicity, and in some cases, serious long-term harm. Let's start with the basics. Supplements are meant to supplement something that's missing in your diet or lifestyle, not to replace it, or to become a permanent fix for something that could be better addressed with food, sleep, movement, or medical care. But for many people, especially after 60, supplements become a default. Feeling tired, add a B-complex, joints ache, add glucosamine, trouble sleeping, melatonin, but these quick fixes can quickly pile up. Before you know it, you're taking 8, 10, even 15 supplements every single day, hoping they're making a difference, but never quite sure. And that uncertainty, it matters. Because while your body is incredibly smart and resilient, it has limits. It can only absorb and use so much at once. The rest often ends up being flushed out, or worse, stored in your tissues, where it can cause issues down the line. Take fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K, for instance. These aren't eliminated in your urine like in C or B vitamins. They hang around in your body, and when you get too much, toxicity becomes a very real risk. Vitamin in a toxicity can lead to bone loss and liver problems. Too much vitamin D can raise calcium levels to dangerous degrees, and high levels of vitamin E can increase your risk of bleeding. These aren't hypothetical risks. They're well documented in clinical studies. It's also easy to forget that supplements can interact with each other and with any medications you might be taking. For example, magnesium can interfere with the absorption of some antibiotics. High doses of calcium can block the benefits of thyroid medication. Too much potassium, especially in supplement form, can be dangerous if you're on certain heart or blood pressure drugs. This is not small stuff. These are real biochemical interactions, and they're happening in the background while you're simply trying to be healthier. And then there's the issue of redundancy. You might be taking multiple supplements that include the same ingredients without even realizing it. Your multivitamin has zinc. So does your immune support formula. And maybe your sleep aid has it too. Now you're getting 2 or 3 times the daily dose every single day. You wouldn't take 3 times your blood pressure medication without checking with your doctor. But with supplements, it often flies under the radar. The supplement industry thrives on this confusion. Labels are complex, doses vary wildly, and most of the products are not rigorously tested before they hit the shelves. In many countries, supplements aren't regulated the same way as medications. That means what's in the bottle isn't always what's on the label. There have been documented cases of contamination, improper dosing, and even products that didn't contain the key ingredient at all. Yet people keep taking them, sometimes out of fear, sometimes out of habit, and often because they genuinely want to feel better. But feeling better doesn't always come from adding more. Sometimes it comes from simplifying. Instead of asking, "What more should I take?" try asking, "What can I remove? What am I taking that I haven't evaluated in years? What am I duplicating without realizing it? Are there nutrients I'm overloading on and others I'm completely ignoring?" The answer isn't to ditch all supplements. Far from it. Some are absolutely essential in specific contexts. Vitamin B12 for people with absorption issues. Vitamin D if you live in a place with little sunlight. Omega-3s if you don't eat much fish. But the key is targeted supplementation based on real needs, not blanket use based on fear or marketing. This is where working with a trusted healthcare provider comes in. A simple set of lab tests can reveal deficiencies. A review of your medications can uncover potential interactions, and a registered dietitian can help you build a plan that fills the true gaps without the overload. Imagine taking just 2 or 3 high-quality supplements that are actually aligned with your body's current needs, rather than a dozen that might be canceling each other out, or worse, causing harm. Getting older isn't about doing more to fight the clock. It's about doing the right things to support your health with intention and clarity. Supplements can be a valuable part of that, but only if they're used wisely. So the next time you're tempted to add another pill to your routine, pause. Ask yourself, do I need this, or is this just noise? Because real health doesn't come from the size of your supplement stash. It comes from how well you listen to your body and how willing you are to make thoughtful, science-backed choices. You've probably heard the phrase, "check with your doctor first," so many times that it barely registers anymore. It's printed on labels, muttered at the end of commercials, and thrown into articles almost like a legal disclaimer. But here's the thing, when it comes to supplements, especially after the age of 60, that advice isn't just a formality. It could be the most important step you take for your health. Supplements aren't harmless just because you can buy them without a prescription, and your body, in your 60s and beyond, isn't operating on the same system it used to. Things like kidney function, liver metabolism, digestion, and even nutrient absorption change with age. So when you toss back a handful of vitamins and think, well, this can't hurt, you might actually be putting extra pressure on systems that are already working hard to maintain balance. That's where your healthcare provider comes in, not just as a gatekeeper, but as a guide. Think of it this way. You wouldn't start taking a new prescription medication without getting it approved by your doctor, right? Because you know it can interact with other meds, affect your organs, and trigger side effects. Well, supplements can do that too. They might seem natural, but natural doesn't always mean safe. Hemlock is natural. Arsenic is natural. What matters is how something interacts with your unique biology, and that's something only a professional who understands your medical history can help you navigate. For example, let's say you're already on blood pressure medication. Adding in potassium or magnesium supplements without guidance could shift your electrolyte balance too far. Or maybe you're taking blood thinners and you decide to add a high-dose omega-3 or vitamin E capsule. Suddenly, you've increased your bleeding risk without even realizing it. What's more, if you're managing diabetes, thyroid conditions, kidney disease, or anything chronic, certain supplements can directly interfere with your medications or the way your body processes nutrients. And yet, a surprising number of people never mention their supplement routine to their doctor. Maybe it feels unimportant. Maybe they're embarrassed by how many pills they're taking. Or maybe they assume supplements are automatically good, so there's no need to bring them up. But that silence can be risky. Without full transparency, your provider is working with incomplete information. They can't help you avoid unnecessary overlap, toxicity, or side effects if they don't know what you're taking. Beyond safety, there's also the question of effectiveness. Why waste money and effort on something your body doesn't even need? A provider can help you determine what's actually deficient, what's within a healthy range, and what can be optimized through diet instead of pills. Maybe your fatigue isn't from a lack of B12, it's from poor sleep or a side effect of another medication. Maybe the joint pain isn't something glucosamine can fix, it's osteoarthritis that needs physical therapy. Without input from someone who knows how to connect the dots, it's easy to misdiagnose yourself and treat the wrong thing. And let's be honest, many supplements are marketed in a way that preys on fear. Fear of aging, fear of decline, fear of losing control. But a good healthcare provider doesn't sell fear. They help you navigate facts. They can explain whether that trendy new supplement is backed by real science or just hype. They can help you interpret blood tests that show actual nutrient levels, not just guess based on symptoms or assumptions. There's also something incredibly empowering about making informed decisions about your body. When you sit down with your provider, go over your current supplements, and get clarity on what's truly beneficial, you shift from reactive to intentional. You stop shooting in the dark and start creating a plan that's based on real data, tailored to your health and grounded in evidence. That's how you move from feeling overwhelmed by choices to feeling confident in your approach. Now, this doesn't mean you have to run to your doctor every time you pick up a bottle of vitamin C. But for anything you plan to take long-term, anything in high doses, or anything that overlaps with an existing medical condition, you owe it to yourself to have that conversation. Your health is too important to play guessing games. And if your provider brushes you off or doesn't take the time to discuss supplements with you, find one who will. There are plenty of practitioners out there, functional medicine doctors, integrative physicians, registered dietitians, who understand the nuance of supplement use and will help you build a smart, sustainable plan. At this stage in life, your goal isn't to take more pills. It's to take the right ones, or maybe none at all, if that's what your body really needs. But you'll never know unless you ask, unless you get curious, get tested, and open that dialogue with someone who sees the full picture. Your body has carried you through decades of life. It's smart, it's resilient, but it's also changing, and it deserves care that matches its current reality. Not outdated routines, not trendy guesses, and definitely not silent assumptions. So yes, check with your doctor first, not because the label says you should, but because your health is worth more than a gamble. You don't need to chase every new bottle on the shelf. You need a plan, a partner in your care, and the confidence that comes from knowing you're doing what's right for your body at this moment in time.